I just had to wait a bit longer. I just had to wait a little bit longer. For those that missed it, way back when Emilia first showed up at the church with Regulus, I was upset because I thought that she was going to do something to stop Regulus. Like, they had that whole speech with Subaru. She's like, let's do something. And then Subaru just ends up showing up and saving her. So I'm like, that was a little bit of a letdown. I was waiting for her to have the front stage. And that's what this episode was. Episode 62 was finally Emilia just stepping up and girl just taking them all down. She basically took down his weak point and went in there and took down Regulus. Yes, technically, Reinhard comes in at the end for the finishing blow, but still, girl stepped up, and she looked cute doing it. It's like, despite the fact that she's, up there just beating the crap out of him and everything, she still sounds cute. She's serving the divorce papers, she's punching the heck out of him, and she still sounds cute. It's still Ria Takahashi sounding cute. But no, I don't think Regulus is done at this point. I mean, with Petelgeuse, he had a second phase. And it seemed like that's what was happening when he was down there, but it was obviously him stopping his heart over and over again every time he was about to die. But it kind of gave me a feeling based on the sound and the music and everything. It just felt like suddenly he was going to bust up and he was going to be like Petelgeuse with like the unseen hands and becoming some weird creature thing. But that was technically his ability. Whereas, again, Regulus is his heart and stopping and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, that all aside, yes, we got a little bit of tie-ins with Fortuna again, bringing that stuff back up. I was for sure that she remembered all that, but I'm guessing once she left the trial, she forgot it. I mean, there's a couple question marks in this episode, let's be honest. I mean, the biggest one for me is the freezing. And it really did feel like Emilia was upset about it, and I assumed they were going to be permanent statues, just like everybody from her own town. That's her whole past thing, is that she wants to release them. And then over here, she does the same thing after recalling them, and yet it cuts forward and bam, they're all unfrozen, everybody's happy, and it's like, so did she figure it out? Did she use something else? I don't know. It felt weird because, again, it almost looked like she was upset. Like, she's going to freeze them just like she did her family and everybody from her town. And then that's why she's upset, because she knows that she can't undo it. Nope, never mind. She undid it. Maybe she figured it out. I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, let's get into the episode proper. Episode 62 opening up with, obviously, yes, Emilia going in there and sparking the courage into these girls, which I thought was very beautifully portrayed, because it's really Emilia coming in there and saying, hey, look, we need you. We can undo this. I have my knight over here. We need your help, though. We can't do it without you. There's something about you guys that is part of his strength, which we find out, yes, it's because he has his heart within them, which sort of does go with my theory. Like, my theory coming into this, for those that missed it, was, yes, I assumed there was going to be a little king somewhere within the wives, like they were hiding amongst them. And yeah, my joke was that it was going to be 184, which technically, yes, the heart was with 184 at the time, so I technically was right. But no, it ends up being him implanted into them, which is, yeah, I kind of have a symbolism there with the idea of Emilia eventually getting it, but I'm not going to touch that symbolism. That in the end, Regulus ended up implanting himself into Emilia. That still happened. No, we're gonna put that aside because it's probably gonna upset all the Emilia stands. So we're not gonna say that, even though I just said that. But no, anyways, back to the actual story. So he's implanting himself in there. So it does go to my theory and the idea that he was hiding amongst them, that his real self was hiding amongst them, and that Regulus was a puppet. The one that's in front of Subaru was a puppet. Doesn't actually end up being true. It's just that he gives them his heart, and that's how he's able to escape death. He's permanently stopped right there. So once he loses that heart, he has to do it himself. His own remaining heart, he has to stop it. So that was interesting. It pretty much turns Regulus into a parasite. He's a parasite. Regulus is technically a parasite. He can keep living on because all he does is infect the next thing, and the next thing he never dies because he's constantly parasitizing something so that he always remains alive. Very interesting in the end. But no, I love this little segment here because, again, it's Emilia trying to spark courage in them. And what she basically does is try to relate to them and pull something of them back out. And yes, it's the idea that every single one of these girls has decided, or at least have been forced to become dolls. We can't be human. Stop trying to make us human. And then she's starting to ask questions. What's your name? 184, not your number. What is your name? Tell me something about yourself. We're all different, which was very interesting. I'm not sure if this is the first time, but it just stood out to me. Emilia is trying to relate to them, and what does she do? She tells them how we're different, and the way that she does that is admit to them, I am a half-elf. And that's something, I think that's the first time we really ever had her say something like that without having shame. Yes, from the very beginning, her being a half-elf is something that makes her detested. Everybody hates her. They don't like her. She's of a half-elf. Those are evil, that kind of stuff. they're discriminated against. Here, she's saying it very boldly, as if she's not afraid of saying it. Which, yes, you can obviously see is probably the byproduct of what Subaru has kind of instilled upon her. No, Subaru thinks that I'm beautiful because I'm a half-elf. So I'm no longer afraid of admitting that. I think that's probably the situation itself, but at least shows some growth in Emilia's character that she's willing to say that so boldly without even question. I am a half-elf. That makes us different. But everybody likes this food. We're all the same. We can all find common ground because of this. And again, it's her trying to pull humanity back into these girls. She doesn't want it. No, we're supposed to stay dolls. Why are you trying to make us humans again? Because I seen you crying for help. Yeah, they don't show emotions, but I seen it in your eyes. I seen it in your words. Everything you were doing said, help me. So that's what I'm going to do. But I need you to join me. It was a great little way of kind of getting in there and saying, hey, look, we can be the same. There's common ground here. You are human too. You're not just a doll. It's really her trying to give them back their humanity. Which, yes, I like the response. She's literally like, okay, let me ask a question. I've never asked this before. Everybody, do you love him? Nope, hate him. Hate him. Hate how he touches me. Hate how he looks at me. Hate how he can't shut his damn mouth. He's creepy. I hate the guy. I hated him yesterday. I'm going to hate him tomorrow. He killed my family. Everybody hates him. It's like that whole aspect of that nobody wants to be the first one that talks. They're all in line. And you could probably say that's a fear of one of the other ones not speaking up and then telling Regulus later on. They all have to speak up together because they all have to stand together because they need them all. All of them have to be a part of this before it actually happens. So really, her saying that and that first person speaking up and then everybody following is that chain reaction. Yeah, they all agree. They just couldn't say anything. And now that one of them says something, they're like, yeah, it's almost like everything they wanted to say pours out. Because these girls probably weren't able to say anything this entire time. And they're finally able to see how much they detest the dude. There's a side of me that almost kind of wishes that Regulus could have been there just to hear it. What? Ano-san, you're taking my rights away. I'm going to kind of miss the guy. I hate his guts, but I like him. He's nowhere to the levels of like epicness that is Gilgamesh, like the perfection of hate for him as Gilgamesh, but he's kind of in that same realm. He's a Gilgamesh character. Like you love to hate this guy. He's disgusting. You hate his guts. He's so nasty to these women, but at the same time, there's I'd like for seeing him, stand pompously and then get the crap beat out of him. But yes, we find out 184 is actually named Sylphie, and then they all decide to help out. Now, this is where it gets kind of really heartbreaking because, yes, Emilia goes over there and says, okay, if you figure something out, we got to figure out what it is. What is it? I'm not sure. Okay, if you figure something out, let me know. I got to get back to Subaru. So she's going to leave one of the spirits with her, but then the spirit reacts to it. It kind of shows how the spirit goes through it, and I'm assuming that the spirit couldn't reside inside of her or possibly came back out and said, hey, look, I found something in here. And that's the fact that, yes, Regulus's heart is on top of 184's heart, or Sylphie's heart. And so, yes, this turns into like a whole thing of, okay, well, he can't die unless we die. And that's the heartbreak there, is the assumption that they're going to be wanting to take their own lives in order to put an end to him. Nobody else in the future will suffer. And yeah, like what they say, which is super freaking heartbreaking, they're all in agreement that I've thought about dying all the time. He took everything from me, killed my entire family. I have nothing left. All I have is myself, like they were talking about earlier. All we have is our life. Our life is the only important thing. We don't want to do anything outside of this because this is all we have left. This is our only way of defying him, is just being alive. He wants us dead for getting scratched or whatever. This is our only way of defying him. So yes, it tragically makes sense why these girls have no hesitation to pick up those blades, to pick up the glass and go, all right, here they go. Time to go. We've played this out in our minds over and over again. It's just, we didn't do it before. Today's the day, I guess. That's the heartbreaking reality there. And again, to Emilia's perspective is, no, that's kind of like running away. And last time I ran away from something, everybody around me hurt. We can't do that. Which, yes, you can argue what these girls' mindset is that if we stop ourselves here, he won't have a way of hiding. He won't parasitize somebody else. That way, he's vulnerable. And then you could take him down, and then there won't be another 184. There won't be another 16. There won't be another 55. It's done with that. But no, that broke my heart when she picked up that glass, and she's like, he trampled on my heart, but he never laid his hand on my body. That's why it lasted this long. That man deemed us worthless and kills us if our bodies have even the smallest crack. This wound is the proof of my freedom. I thought I was going to go through and have each girl just like cut themselves once just to kind of show a scar, which is basically their symbolism of commitment. Because I scratched myself here, I'm committed to helping you out. But it's really just an aspect of they were all just going to end it at once. Just end it at once. That way he has nowhere to go to. But from Emilia's perspective is no, when I ran away like that, more people got hurt. That's not going to work out, so she wants to stop them. And I was kind of curious why she was thinking about that. Like, it seemed odd that in this moment, she's like, no, when I went back here and I went out into the forest, everybody got hurt because I went in the forest. Why did they go in the forest? And I'm like, why is she bringing that up right now? Okay, it makes sense because what she's doing in her mind is eventually coming to the conclusion of, oh yeah, back here, everybody was frozen. I can do that again. So it kind of connects there. But yeah, that all comes to the realization of, no, don't hurt yourselves. I have an idea. And she apologized. And then here's where it kind of gets confusing to me. She's apologizing. Like, I figured it out. I can do something. And she goes to freeze them. And she apologizes. And of course, Sylphie and all the girls are like, no, this is fine. Probably because they're thinking, yeah, that's it for us. Finally, we're released. It's almost like a relief there. Like, we're finally able to go. Thank you so much. Don't apologize to us. Again, it almost felt like Emilia, in doing this action, she was taking their lives. And again, when she gets back over to Regulus, again, serving the divorce papers, an ice block at him, thumping into him, she's super mad. She is angry. And yes, a lot of that anger is because those girls were to the point where they're willing to take their own lives. That's how much they were turned to dolls. That's how much they were afraid of going against him. And that's how far they were willing to push themselves emotionally and destroying themselves just not to be killed by him. To only have nothing but their own lives to keep alive. But it almost felt like she was upset because she had to do that. Like, even Regulus himself is saying, my gosh, you killed them all. You're like a murderer. You're a mass murderer. You probably don't even know how many there were. Nope, she knows exactly how many there are. I counted them. There's no way that I would not know every single one of them. I almost thought I was going to go as far as having her name each one of them. I was going to go, okay, that's a bit too much in the heat of the moment, but it would still be cool to go, yeah, Sylphie, this, go down the entire line. But again, it really did feel like Emilia coming there was more than just upset about what he put them through, but upset that she had to freeze them. Because again, this goes back to what the whole story begins from, where she left and went out there to that door, and then suddenly Pandora shows up, and then Fortuna dies, Petelgeuse gets taken off, and she freezes everybody, wakes up from that freeze, and then feels upset that she can't melt the ice. Unless I'm misremembering, I mean, I could be misremembering, but I'm pretty sure that's the whole core story there, is that she froze everybody and that she wants to free them. She just hasn't figured out how to do that yet. So when she freezes all the wives over here, my assumption was that she had to do the same thing there, and that we're going to have like frozen wives in this church for years on end until Emilia eventually figures out how to undo it, comes back, frees them, then goes back to her home village and frees them. Again, unless I'm misremembering, I could be stupid in that she's already freed them. I don't think she has. And then we get the big reveal that, yes, Emilia has his heart now. And yeah, apparently, despite the fact that he said that he didn't want her, apparently she was worthy of it. Again, I don't think it's really that. I think there is an element of him wanting to gather his wives, but I don't think that's really a necessity. It doesn't seem like it cares who it goes into. It just needs to hide in somebody. So yes, it really does come to the fact that Subaru's got to stop it. Because even if he were to kill Emilia, it'd probably jump into Subaru. Like, even that's what it feels like Regulus is doing right there. And it could be just him being crazy, but he's literally telling Subaru, hey, you want to see if it'll jump into somebody else? Try it out. Kill her. Go ahead, do it. There's a side of it that, yes, he's probably really ticked off that Emilia just took out all of his precious wives that he apparently took forever to gather all these perfect wives that he wants. You've trampled on my hard work of gathering all of these ideal women. Go ahead and do it, though. It's almost like he's egging on Subaru, probably because he wants them to kill each other just for pure fun of it, but it almost feels like he wants to experiment with it. Let's see how it works. Because otherwise, why would he tell him to do something that is going to make him vulnerable? He knows it's going to work. I think Regulus at that point knows that it's going to jump into whoever. It'll just go into Subaru. And now Subaru will have it, and then I'll give it to somebody else. Now, he does technically mention at some point he has no idea. Before Emilia gets back, he goes on rambling about how apparently he doesn't know. The wives aren't aware. He's not aware. He just knows that his heart goes to somebody. So that's a very interesting thing about it, which does technically answer why he went to Blast 184. Which is so funny if you think about it. Way back when Emilia was first introduced into Regulus's home, what did he do? Emilia was causing Regulus to get a little upset, and he blames 184. And he goes to shoot 184. He nearly killed the core. But Emilia saved her. Now, because that was a question mark that I had. If it was 184, that was the little line in my theory before that didn't make any sense because he tried to kill her. Now here it's basically pointing out that he nearly killed his core. Now, granted, it would probably have jumped over to somebody else at that point, but it's still kind of funny to think about. Regulus nearly killed himself like literally 4 months ago in that episode. But no, that's when Regulus realizes that, yes, Subaru was the one on the broadcast and starts bad-mouthing Petelgeuse again. That waste of skin. He was always a waste of skin. Even before he was an archbishop, he was a waste of skin. Now, Subaru right there suddenly gets a vision, which I think it was the vision of when he first got the unseen hands. But I guess what the vision's really kind of telling him right there is that, yeah, I think it can go through skin. That's my assumption is what he's thinking there. I'm assuming probably in the light novel it has an inner dialogue that's happening there that they didn't want to get into. But he apparently comes to the realization that, hey, I can probably use the unseen hands to go in there and take out the heart. At which point he turns to Emilia and says, as per usual, can you trust me with this? And she immediately smiles. Like, she knows exactly the moment that he calls her name, like Emilia. She's like, okay, what is it? What is it? What is it, Subaru? You got an idea, didn't you? But no, that's when he goes to reach into Emilia's chest. Probably not going to be able to touch that for a long time, Subaru, but at least the unseen hand gets to touch it. No, jokes aside, reaches in there and takes out the heart. And right when he touches her, Emilia sees him. That hurt. I'm sorry for like the instant that happened, that hurt. Immediately Emilia's like, so that's where you've been the whole time, and sees Petelgeuse standing behind Subaru. That's where you've been the whole time. It seems like it's connecting that Goose, or Petelgeuse, he is, or at least from Emilia's perspective, is seeing that Petelgeuse is standing at Subaru's side. That the Goose that she knew from the past is standing at Subaru's side. The person that she liked, that was somebody that was sort of a father figure, I guess you could say, is right behind the one that I trust the most, the knight that I trust the most. That sort of makes sense from a spirit perspective. Granted, I think it's more so the aspect that Subaru has gotten from defeating Petelgeuse has instilled itself upon him. But I guess they're also kind of going the idea of her kind of seeing him being at Subaru's side and fighting alongside him, so to speak. But either way, it was a little heartbreaking. It was a little heartbreaking. But yeah, it breaks the heart. Regulus doesn't realize it, but his feet are wet at that point. And yeah, that's when Emilia gets really, really angry and starts beating the crap out of him. A punch for every single life. It's that Ria Takahashi squeak. It's just punching him over and over again. Girl was ticked off. And then, of course, Regulus getting upset that everybody's picking on him and ganging up on him. You're a shame of human beings. You've taken away my rights. You've taken away my women. All that kind of stuff. Everything is about his rights and everything. The rambling that he has is just so interesting. But yeah, it brings up the idea of fighting one by one before Subaru says, all right, cool. If you want a one-on-one, I can give that to you. You can have that. Here it comes. And then sure enough, Reinhard shows up. Yeah, you threw me into the sky. You shouldn't have aimed toward the moon. He just legit launches off the moon, apparently. I just assumed he was going to get really, really high in altitude and at some point was going to fall back down. I didn't think that he literally threw him into space, which, yes, means that if he didn't aim directly where he would run into the path of the moon, Reinhard would have, endlessly gone into space until he got, a divine blessing of space travel and then manifest rockets and fly back. I wouldn't doubt that. I wouldn't doubt that Reinhard would have some divine blessing of gravity control or something that would allow him to push himself back eventually. But no, he didn't need to because apparently he just vaulted off the moon, which I'm guessing the moon in this world is much closer. I'm guessing the moon in this world of ReZero is much closer because I'm sorry, even if he was traveling 100 times faster than what he was when he got knocked up or thrown up there, he would have had to gone much faster than that in order to reach the moon that quickly. He would have to go like some insane like space travel speeds to come that fast. But anyways, that aside, let's talk about logic here. It's a fantasy world. I'm going to assume the moon is just closer. But no, Reinhard with his hotness comes back, shows back up, and beats the living crap out of him, obviously. I like at some point when he's beating the crap out of him, he says that normally in a duel, when my opponent has given up, I would sheathe my sword, but not this time. He says, you're a monster. Yes, I'm a monster that hunts monsters. And just slams him into the ground. But no, the whole entire time that Regulus is being thrown up, I kind of try to dig into this stuff, but it's very difficult because I think even with Petelgeuse, when he was going crazy, it's always difficulty in trying to figure out if there's something being said in there. Because I do think mixed within the crazy rambling that typically comes out of these archbishops, I think there's a logic in there somewhere. There's a mindset somewhere in there of what they used to be. And with Regulus him specifically, I'm not sure if it's going anything past beyond before he became one of the archbishops, but there's obviously a mindset in here where he's not the one to blame. It's the usual kind of ramblings of a child, which I've kind of seen for the longest time, and I think even the wives were pointing that out. He's just a child in a man's body. This guy is literally like a whining child. He's yelling about how absurd it is. Why do I have to go through this? I'm the most fulfilled and complete being in the world. There's no room for doubt in body and mind. I'm not at fault. You're the ones to be blamed. Again, it's just like the ramblings of a child. You are the ones that pitied me, felt sorry for me, and left me alone. That's the part that sticks out the most, where I'm not really sure that technically ties into the current. Then it goes into the idea of them all laughing at me, which is where we're getting that symbolism that all of his wives down there, and it shows that shot where they're all standing in front of him. After they're all bled out, they're all now standing in front of him. My assumption here is it's not necessarily the wives down there. I do think that some of the hair colors are the same as the ones down there, but I almost wonder if there's an aspect here where it shows that first shot where there's a bunch of dead bodies. You're laughing at me, and then it cuts to them all standing in front of him. You're laughing at me now that I'm alone. Why are you laughing at me? My wife never laughed at me. The first wife never laughed at me. She just smiled at me with her beautiful face silently. Now, again, I can also think it being an idea that they're laughing at him from down there. The current wives are laughing at him from down there, and he thinks that he can kill them, but he can't. So they're now standing in front of him, and he can't do anything about it. They're just laughing at him as he sits there pathetically. But again, it goes in the idea of his first wife, getting the idea that she never laughed. I killed her family, killed everyone who came near her. She didn't need to laugh. Her face was beautiful, even without a smile. It's kind of implying here that he did have a first wife, number one, and then now all these ones that he currently has are after that. So it kind of implies the idea that he had a wife before. The first one doesn't have it currently. And now he's been filling up this roster full of wives and having them all match her. This was his ideal woman back here, and he killed everything around her, and she accepted it, and now all these other ones have to do the same thing. Don't smile, be a doll, kind of thing. Very interesting. Very interesting. And then, yes, it gets into like his rambling about the idea that in the very last moment they're laughing. Stop laughing, I won't be alone. Why, as my wives, are you laughing at the thought of me being alone again? I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. Again, it seems all signs point this guy just being just like a big child. He is a child, like never maturing mind-wise. It almost gives that sense that this was a person that was a child at some point and became an archbishop as a child. So he never really kind of matured mentally. Now, yes, that's that whole insanity aspect of all these characters. All these archbishops seem to be obviously out of their mind, but it's still very interesting. But anyhow, with that aside, yes, after he gets completely drilled into the ground, trying to stop his heart enough that he doesn't die, because apparently without the wives, somebody holding the heart, he has to stop his own, and eventually reaching the bottom, somehow manages to still survive that. But as he's upset down there, his main concern is, yes, he wants to get revenge. He wants to kill them all, especially the one that was supposed to be my 79th. So we're finally bringing up that aspect of the fact that he had this designated spot for 79 and that Emilia was going into it. That was originally meant for someone else. I remember now. So it's really weird how this is kind of laid out and translated. It kind of makes me believe something else. But what I'm assuming it's saying here is basically as he's remembering the one that was supposed to be 79th, he recalls back to that one that was supposed to be the 79th, and that was Fortuna. Fortuna was supposed to be the 79th, because it says literally the Petelgeuse and that impotent woman, former 79, were protecting somebody else, was protecting a girl over here. At first, I thought he was implying that Emilia, as younger, was supposed to be the 79th, and he still got her anyways. But no, it's saying that Fortuna was supposed to be the 79th. Now, that's the weird thing there, because it says former 79th in the translation that I got from Muse. So my assumption there is that it's implying that he wanted Fortuna to be in that slot, but then she rejected him. I don't think it's implying that she was his 79th and that she somehow escaped from him, because I think he would be a lot more angry at her at that moment. I think he was deciding that he wanted her to be, and that didn't work out because he got teleported away by Pandora. But that's when he's obviously recalling Emilia is that girl that was back there. And he hates the idea of her being happy that she got her revenge. I can't allow that. It's too disgusting. It makes me want to vomit. I can't accept that she's up there rejoicing right now. I like how it cuts over to Emilia and she's literally like, I recognize that dude, but I don't remember. He's mad down there, and she's like, I don't remember who the hell that dude is. I don't think Regulus is dead. Again, it seemed like it was showing that kind of a reaction happening, which, again, I assume is just him stopping his heart every time he's about to die, and then the time stop goes away, and then he goes to die again, and he stops it again, and it just keeps going until eventually it floods in, and he just drowns. He could still transform into something else, but I think it's implying that I don't know. I guess I just kind of expect him to have a second form, but I think that's it. I think they pretty much killed him. I think he's done. Unless being that far down there, he gets too close to the witch again. Like everything that they're defeating, is going down below. Like again, Sirius went to the water, is going down below. Regulus got shoved down there and the water filling in way down below. I think they're all going to end up getting defeated down close to the bottom here. And then that's gonna somehow react to the witch that's down there. That's kind of where my theory is going. That Typhoon, if it is Typhoon down there, that she's going to react to them all being down there. But anyways, that's the end of Regulus. Rip Bozo. Rip wife-beaten piece of garbage Bozo that I hate, but I like his anosas. I just like his anosas. Anosa. But yeah, like I said, it cuts to them going to the church, and Emilia frees them all from the freezing. Again, she said that she froze him to death, or near dead. So again, it might be an aspect where she didn't freeze him as much as she did the original village, and so she thought that she may have, and then now she's able to free them, and so it's perfectly fine. I'm gonna guess it's a different spell than what happened to her home village, and so that's why she was able to free them. But yeah, it broke my heart seeing Sylphie start busting down in tears. Again, it's like something that these girls were not able to do before. They're not able to show that emotion, and now they're all finally kind of free, so it was super good. And then yeah, Subaru's saying that it's all left up to Reinhard now. He's sending off best boy Reinhard to go wreck all the other bad guys. And that yes, everybody's stronger than me. And then it cuts over to Wilhelm, and he's fighting his wife. I'm not happy about my boy having to possibly kill his wife again. And also showed Garf coming out all beast mode. I don't know that he's going to be affected by the flesh stuff. I guess he technically could, especially if that stuff has the dragon blood in it. Those little kind of sacks that fell on him, they could have dragon's blood in it. It's going to infect him. Hopefully not, because that means that Wilhelm's going to have to fight both his wife, bodyguardy wannabe, and Garf at the same time. I don't think... I think it's just going to make him enraged. I think Garf right now is just enraged. Anyways, super good episode. My gosh, I talked way longer than I thought I would. This episode was super good. Really loved it. Looking forward to the next episode. I did take a quick peek at the break time ReZero. It looks like a new character's introduced in the damn episode. I don't think I recognize that character, so apparently we're revealing new characters in the break time. So if you missed that, don't miss it. I will post a translation of it on X as soon as I get a chance to, and I will do a video on it later on if it's enough to talk about it. But we'll see. But that's my thoughts on episode 62 of ReZero. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, hit the like button down below, comment. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Again, if you are a light novel fan, I don't need answers to the questions. I'm just speculating like crazy because it's a lot of fun to speculate on this stuff. Hopefully, eventually get the answers to it, or I'll read the light novel later on. But anyways, if you like this content and you want to support channel more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it. But until next time, y'all take care.